everyone, I'm Anisha from the Amazon App Store Developer Advocacy team, and today I'm joined by Arron. Hey Arron.
Hey, thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, so where do you work? What do you do? Give us a little bit of an intro, please.
Sure, yeah. So, Arron Gill, I work for Nando's UK. I've been there for 4 years working in the app experience team. And yeah, I've been working on the Android and iOS app for them, for the customers. We have over 4 million downloads on iOS, over 1 million on Android, and it's all powered through React Native.
Amazing. Well, let's start with the most important question. Which is your favorite sauce?
My favorite sauce, it's a tough one. I often change, but at the moment, it's lemon and herb. It might sound boring.
No, not lemon. He's cancelled. Interview's cancelled.
But if you were to ask me 5 years ago, it would be extra hot or Vuza, which is like the one next level up.
Fair enough. Fair. I like the Saka sauce myself. That one's my favorite. Anyway, so today we're here at React Universe, and I think one of the questions that has been coming up a lot over the past couple of months is what is Universal React? And I did a talk about this a couple of months ago, and it was trying to understand like how we're bridging the gap between React and React Native. And the reason it's important to us at Amazon is we have apps that run on a range of devices, tablet and TV, and it's very rare that those teams are building for just tablet and TV. It's usually mobile apps too. So I'm asking members of the community, like, what does Universal React mean to you? So yeah, what does Universal React mean to you?
Sure. So I'll start with the nutshell, and then I'll give context.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So for me, in a nutshell, it means more exciting opportunities.
Okay,
and
I love that.
The reason for that is I have to give a bit of backstory here. So when I started working in software development, I started as a mobile developer, but it was for Windows devices, so Windows Mobile 6, using WinForms. The device is dead, the language is dead. I don't expect anyone to remember it. That soon evolved to native Android development using Java. I had to reinvent myself, learn new things, and then that transitioned to Kotlin. And then native cross-platform development became a thing, and then I had to use Xamarin to do that. And then when I joined Nando's, I've been using React Native. So the pattern's always been you're either siloed to this mobile app world, and B, if you want to change or evolve, it's from the ground up, you're reinventing yourself. But with this bridging that you mentioned with React and React Native, for me, what I see is the ecosystem of the React Native world and React have merged, but I no longer have to reinvent myself to do a web project. So I've always done mobile apps, but now that I'm excited to do a web project because I'll have the same mental model of what I've learned in React Native, and use state, hooks, props, it's all the same, it's all familiar ground. I'll be able to leverage that, and maybe Nando's won't just have an app experience team and a web experience team.
It would become
in the next few years, they could have a React team. So that's why I'm excited, and that's the context behind it.
No, that's really awesome. And I mean, I think that's why most people in the community are excited. Like, I came from web, but for me, like, React Native is different in the sense that, like, I have to think about the native side. For you, it's kind of the opposite. You have to think about the website because you've come from native. And I think, like, what really powers that Universal React is the Universal React libraries that we have. And I wanted to ask, like, do you use any of them in the Nando's app, or like what would you, or personally too, like, are there any of the Universal React libraries that you would recommend to the community?
So we started with the React Native vanilla app. And when we wanted to leverage some of the web components that we had, we did that through web views and linking. So I don't think we've integrated any React libraries, like, specifically into the app. But it's definitely something I want to explore because I'm seeing it's becoming easier and easier. So yeah, that's where we are with that.
And I guess many developers don't realize, like, state management libraries are basically Universal React libraries. Like, I mean, whether you're using MobiX, whatever, Vautio, they all work the same in native as they do in web. And I think when it comes to probably more personal projects, or I would say like MVPs, like, it's so much easier to show, for me especially, it's so much easier to show, like, this works on tablet, TV, and web. And I mean, that's incredible. And I think I personally love it, but I think maybe in production level apps, it might not be the same, or maybe tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So I've got an interesting story that you just reminded me of. So we've got the customer app, which is what I've talked about.
Yeah.
But there was this side project that came through, I think it was around 2023, 2024, where we actually needed to create the kitchen display systems that you see behind the grills.
Okay,
we needed to do that in-house rather than use the third party that we were doing to do that. And we actually used React Native Web to do that.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first time I started using React Native Web, getting familiar with Webpack and React Native, and just seeing how you could get off the ground and implement something so quickly. It built confidence that like I said, web, mobile apps, and you've mentioned TV. Like, it's just so much easier to get your hands on and play around with.
Yeah, fair enough. And have you? I mean, obviously the answer is no, fair enough. But have you heard of a React strict DOM?
Yes.
Yeah, and like, do you think that's going to change the way that native developers build for web, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's definitely something that they'd spike and explore. I haven't played enough with it myself to give you more meat to that answer, but I definitely remember hearing about that 2 years ago at the conference here.
Yeah.
I'm definitely aware of it. I'm just waiting for the right opportunity to explore it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, I asked as well, like, because like, obviously we're hearing more about it, and I think it's interesting to see how companies are using it. Like, we work mainly with TV app developers and tablet app developers, so it's always interesting to see like what's next for the community in general. And I think, especially, I guess the closest thing to TV apps would be web apps, and that's why we always want to make sure that we're staying on top of what's happening in the community. Anything else you'd like to add?
Just that, like, if I look at the evolution of the talk, so the first one I attended was 2 years ago, and that was a lot of React Native based stuff, and now I'm here, I'm seeing a lot more React. So it definitely builds confidence that I can go away to Nando's and say the technologies we're using aren't going to disappear.
Yes.
In fact, they're evolving so that there'll be less friction if they wanted to move developers from one team to the other and vice versa.
Yeah.
So for me, what I'm seeing is confidence from a enterprise and business level, but also developers that the skills like Windows Mobile 6 and Swarm, they're not going to die. So for me, I feel more confident in my career path.
That's awesome.
And it's really good to see.
Yeah, and I mean that's such a good point, right? Like, we're all in this Gen AI phase of, are we replaceable? Are we not? But the fact that like React and React Native is enabling us to build for like everything, like desktop, TV, VR, it reassuring that like we're not writing a dying language. And if anything, where the community is going with React strict DOM, with React Native Web, with all these universal libraries, like it's going to be inevitable that we're writing one code base that is running everywhere. And that's great to see. So one last question was, why were the displays in React Native Web?
So we weren't sure what hardware was going to be used. So what we actually did was we say, okay, we know React Native, we can leverage React Native Web, and then we can use like something called Towery, which would basically wrap that solution so that it could work on any desktop application. So when you think of restaurants, there's a lot of protocol, like the amount of heat that is being on the grill. So if they've got a device there, from a health and safety perspective, it has to have certain hardware. It won't be your average tablet that you can buy off Amazon. It'll be something where they're going to inspect how much heat it emits. So we weren't sure what the hardware at the time was going to be, and we know we had to create this solution. So we just used React Native Web at the time.
It's just another use case of React Native that you wouldn't have thought about, and that's so interesting to hear. Would you? Personally, have you ever experimented with, tablet apps or Fire TV apps?
Let me think, because we do a lot of spikes. So TV apps, no. Tablets, yes. But in regards to the actual thing we created, do you remember Flappy Bird?
Yes, of course.
At Nando's, I think we were testing a new version of Reanimated at the time. So we created something called Bumbling Bastard, which was the Nando's bird, but in and that was powered through React Native, so it's our own version of Flappy Bird.
Well, you need to release that on Amazon App Store.
It's with the devs. It's not in production, but we'll definitely add it to the backlog.
Sounds good. No, thank you so much.